Guys, John here, and I just got back from watching the new Jon Favreau Disney incarnation of The Jungle Book. Now, back at D23, going back almost a year ago now, I can't remember even how long ago it was, but it was forever ago. I remember being there in this auditorium at D23, and Jon Favreau comes out, and they're about to present like this 5-minute bit of footage from the film. And earlier in his speech, Jon Favreau says, "I believe this is the most technologically advanced film ever made." And a lot of us are like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, John, sure. And then right before they play the clip, he says, "Remember, everything you're about to see, this whole movie, is filmed on a soundstage in Los Angeles." And then they showed us the 5 minutes, and everybody in that place was in awe. I mean, they showed us footage of Captain America Civil War, and what everybody was buzzing about coming out of that presentation was Jungle Book. So I've been very excited to see how this movie turned out. I've been nervous about it because my expectations have been so high. But I'm going to tell you what, this movie is amazing. I tweeted this out when I came out of the movie, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I do not think it is humanly possible. I don't think it's even possible to make a version of The Jungle Book that is better than what we just saw. All due respect to Andy Serkis, who's got his version of The Jungle Book coming out, I think, next year sometime. But I just don't know how it's physically possible, how it's humanly possible to make a better version of The Jungle Book than what we just saw. I'll start with the visuals. Visually, this thing is outstanding. I mean, forget for a second that it's pretty much all CGI. I mean, it's pretty much everything in this film is CGI other than the kid. And I'm sure there's some practical effects that they used on the sets and the soundstage here and there. I'll have to look into it to see how much of it was. But when you understand, first of all, the film is just gorgeous and beautiful, regardless of the fact that so much of it is CGI. Like, even if you just take out the fact that there's so much of this film is CGI, and that makes it amazing. Just the look of the film is incredible and gorgeous and breathtaking and stunning. And then when you stop to realize, oh yeah, this is all CGI, like what they have been able to accomplish visually from a technical point of view is outstanding. But you know what? You can have all the best visual effects in the world, and that won't make a bad movie good. And this is a really good movie. You gotta start, I think, with this kid. Seti, I think his name is. I'm forgetting the name of the kid off the top of my head, but the kid who plays Mowgli, the one live action person in this film, other than a couple of extras you see in one scene once. But this kid, number one, it is difficult for even the most seasoned of actors to do a good acting job in front of green screen. Okay, we saw that in The Phantom Menace. I mean, even Liam Neeson seemed wooden sometime, and Ewan McGregor, because they're just acting in front of green screen. It was all new. It is very difficult for a child actor to carry a film and to deliver a great performance in a film. This child actor, who we have never seen before, does both. Gave us an incredible performance for a child actor, but also gave an incredible performance for a child actor in front of a green screen. I mean, it's nuts, because if this kid's humanity, if you don't believe this kid being the only real physical thing in the movie, if you don't buy into this kid emotionally and realistically, if you don't buy into this kid, no matter how good Bill Murray is, no matter how good Christopher Walken is, no matter how good Ben Kingsley is, no matter how good Lupita Nyong'o is, no matter how any of the rest of it is, if you don't believe this kid, this movie can't work. And you do. You believe this kid. He's great. Because sometimes child actors give great performances, but you can just tell they're acting too serious or too intelligent or too mature for their age. So even though they're giving a great performance, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit because you think that's too much for this age. This kid came in, gave a great performance, and still made me believe he was just a kid. It is hard, without giving spoilers of specific moments in the film, it's hard to describe about what I mean by that, but you will know as soon as you see this movie. Now, I mentioned the voice actors. Voice actors were wonderful. I honestly got the feeling from the trailer that even though he was Baloo, I didn't think we were going to get a lot of Bill Murray in this movie, but we get a lot of Bill Murray in this movie. And yes, the lines are written very funny, but they're delivered in such a way to give them extra life. Ben Kingsley of Bagheera. Ben Kingsley, so good in this. And, you know, as soon as we all heard Idris Elba was going to be the voice of Shere Khan, we all thought, oh, that's perfect. Yep, it was perfect. It was as perfect. He was fearsome and menacing and evoked fear when he came on screen. Like when he walked into screen in any scene, you're like you're sitting in the theater, it's like, okay, something really bad's about to happen. He just brought in Lupita Nyong'o as Mowgli's adopted mother. I mean, Scarlett Johansson as Kaa was a great scene. I mean, you see most of Kaa in the trailer. You don't see much more of Kaa than what you see in the trailer, but still breathtaking. The voice performance in that was great. The story's handled so well, and there is music. There is music in this movie that moves you, and it's great. And because it's recognizable and you know it, and they don't try to copy the animated stuff that we're familiar with, but it is still the same songs, but they do it in their own way, and it's hard for me to explain it without you seeing it. It's just a beautiful, wonderful film with some of its own uniqueness, but so true to the Jungle Book all at the same time. I had fun. I was excited. I honestly, right now, cannot think of anything that really stood out as a really blaring weakness in this film. And even great films will have a few things, okay, well, this was clearly a bad part of this. It did so much right. And just really, this is, I believe, better than the cartoon. I think this is the ultimate expression of the Jungle Book we have ever seen on film. I gotta believe at this moment, this is the ultimate expression of the Jungle Book we will ever see on film. Again, all due respect to Andy Serkis, and we'll wait to see what he gives us. But if he can top this, I mean, that'll be insane. And just, look, all the credit in the world's got to be given to Jon Favreau for his direction of this film, the studio for having the belief in this film. How you would put, the most, as what they called the most technologically advanced film ever, into something, a property like the Jungle Book. And it had a lot of us scratching our heads. And now I watch this movie and it was put to such good use. It's fun. It's funny. It's charming, but frightening at the same time. The one thing I'll say is if you have really young children, every young child is different. Okay. So let me put it this way, say that depending on your child, and only you know your child best, there are moments of this film that might be considered a little bit too frightening for certain young children. But I think there are also certain young children that won't have a problem with this. Like, I think if you've watched The Lion King with your kid and they can handle that level, because there's some ferocious stuff that happens in The Lion King. If your kid can watch The Lion King and be okay, while this is quote unquote live action, even though it's like all CGI, it gives it another sense of realism. So it might make it a little bit more scary. But my initial feeling coming out of this movie is if your kid can handle The Lion King, I think they can handle this. But only you can make that decision as a parent. All I know is that they did an absolutely magnificent job with this film. I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to run out and see it again. And I think the critics are going to love this film. I think audiences are going to love this film. I don't know how it's going to do at the box office. I really don't at this point. But I love this film. For me, it is one of my top films of 2016 so far. Me personally, I give The Jungle Book a 9 out of 10. I adore this movie. I think you will too. So jump in the comments section once you have a chance to see it. Let me know what you think. What are some of your fears going into the film? What are you looking forward to the most going into this film? Whatever you think, jump in the comments section and leave me your thoughts. So that will do it for this review. Don't forget, guys, subscribe to my podcast, the Jon Campea Podcast. I do a podcast about 2 to 3 times a week. Find me on your favorite podcast app. And also don't forget, head on over to Comic-Con HQ and sign up for your free trial now. My new movie show is going to be launching there in about a month. Keep your eyes open for that. So that'll do it for me for this review of The Jungle Book. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, I'm Jon Campea.